Lisa's eyes sparkled with a sense of adventure as she gazed upon the magnificent waters of the Great Barrier Reef. Her heart raced with excitement and a hint of fear, but the burning desire to tick off scuba diving in the world-famous reef from her bucket list was stronger than her nerves. She couldn't wait to take the plunge into the unknown depths below. She eagerly donned her black wetsuit, feeling the soft fabric hug her body like a second skin, ready to take on the waters. The oxygen tank felt heavy on her back, but it was a welcome weight, a symbol of the adventure she was about to embark on. As she adjusted her mask and regulator, her senses were heightened with anticipation. She felt as if she was about to enter a whole new world, a world filled with unknown creatures and unimaginable beauty. Lisa felt as though she was venturing into an uncharted universe as she sank into the depths of the ocean. Alien-like creatures surrounded her, flaunting their striking colors and unusual forms, as if they were plucked from the pages of a science fiction novel. Bright and vivid fish raced past her in flashes of neon, their scales gleaming in the sun's warm rays. In mesmerizing patterns, schools of silver fish swirled around her, as if in a trance, like a rhythmic and hypnotic dance. The beauty of the underwater world faded as Lisa's eyes fixated on a looming figure in the distance. It seemed to be emerging from the shadows of the murky depths, revealing its massive size. Her heart pounded in her chest as her breaths came in short, panicked gasps as she recognized the predator in front of her. A sense of dread washed over her as she could feel the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. It was a tiger shark, easily measuring over 20 feet long, and its sleek body moved through the water with a graceful yet intimidating power. Lisa's mind raced as she tried to remember the guide's instructions on how to avoid attracting sharks, but her mind went on panic. Terror gripped Lisa as she frantically kicked her legs, feeling the weight of the ocean pressing down on her. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, threatening to burst out of her rib cage as she struggled to gain some distance from the approaching creature. But her movements only seemed to incite the beast, causing it to move faster and closer towards her. Its powerful body sliced through the water, sending ripples across the surface as it moved with deadly intent. Lisa could feel the hairs on the back of her neck stand up as she realized that she was face to face with one of the ocean's most fearsome predators. Despite the guide's reassurances, Lisa could feel the weight of her fear pressing down on her chest like an anchor, dragging her deeper into the abyss of terror. Her heart pounded in her ears as she made her way towards the boat, her movements frantic and uncoordinated, like a panicked prey desperately trying to escape the predator's grasp. But her attempts to flee only seemed to draw the massive shark closer, its fins slicing through the surface of the water as it circled around her like a vulture circling its prey. The other divers froze in terror, their faces etched with horror as they watched the deadly dance between Lisa and the shark. Despite the guide's warning, Lisa's panic had already taken over. Her splashing movements had attracted the lurking predator towards her, and the shark was closing in. Its sleek gray body glided through the water with ease, its dark, lifeless eyes fixed on Lisa. Suddenly, the shark lunged at Lisa. The sound of teeth crunching through bone echoed in her ears as the massive tiger shark clamped down on her left leg. She felt a searing pain shoot through her body, and she let out a blood-curdling scream. The shark's teeth sliced through her flesh like a hot knife through butter, leaving a gaping wound that gushed blood into the ocean. Lisa felt her consciousness slipping away as the pain became too much to bear. Her vision blurred, and she struggled to stay awake, but eventually succumbed to the darkness. The guide's heart raced with adrenaline as he saw Lisa's body sinking rapidly into the abyss. With a burst of energy, he kicked his way towards her, determined to save her. But as he reached her, a sudden chill ran down his spine. From the murky depths emerged the same tiger shark, its massive jaws wide open, ready to strike again. The guide's heart pounded in his chest as he watched in horror as the shark bit off Lisa's other leg in a single swift motion. The guide's blood ran cold as he watched in horror as the massive tiger shark ripped off Lisa's limbs one after another, leaving her helpless and mutilated in its wake. He was frozen in fear, unable to process what was happening before his very eyes. The shark's powerful jaws snapped and tore at her flesh, its razor-sharp teeth sinking deep into her body, causing blood to cloud the water. As Lisa's body was being torn apart, the guide felt a sickening feeling in the pit of his stomach, knowing that he had failed to protect her. His mind raced with thoughts of what he could have done differently, but it was too late. The shark, having taken its fill, grabbed Lisa's lifeless carcass and dragged it down to the murky depths of the ocean, leaving the guide in a state of shock and disbelief. He felt helpless, his mind numb as he tried to process the tragedy that had just unfolded before him. The other tourists and members of the diving crew frantically reached out to the authorities, their voices trembling as they recounted the gruesome attack. The authorities quickly dispatched a team of search and rescue divers to scour the surrounding waters, their powerful flashlights cutting through the murky depths like blades. But as they searched and searched, the bleak reality began to set in. There was no hope in finding Lisa alive. After 2 days of searching, all that was found was Lisa's oxygen tank, with scratch and bite marks on its sides. The incident served as a haunting reminder of the unpredictable nature of apex predators and the dangers that lay hidden beneath the tranquil waters of the Great Barrier Reef. The sun shone down on the pristine waters of Monterey Bay, casting a warm glow on the tranquil scene below. The gentle waves lapped against the shore, creating a soothing soundtrack to the picturesque landscape. The clear blue sky stretched out above, inviting anyone to venture out into the endless expanse of the ocean. It was a day that begged to be enjoyed, a day that whispered promises of adventure and relaxation. For Andrew, this is a perfect day to go for a swim. Andrew was a skilled swimmer and diver whose love for the ocean was insatiable. He could spend hours floating in the salty waters, basking in the warmth of the sun and reveling in the coolness of the ocean's embrace. His movements in the water were effortless as he glided through the calm and clear waters of Monterey Bay, feeling the weightlessness of his body and the freedom of his spirit. Today was no different as he set out for a leisurely swim, taking in the beauty and serenity of the world beneath the waves. Andrew was entranced by the serene beauty of the ocean as he swam further out, lulled by the gentle rhythm of the waves. The shimmering blue water enveloped him, creating a sense of tranquility and calm. The deeper he ventured, the more the world above the surface receded into a distant memory. But just as quickly as he had been entranced, Andrew was snapped out of his reverie by a sharp, piercing pain that coursed through his body. It felt like a red-hot poker had been thrust through his thighs and was now making its way up towards his abdomen. His breaths became ragged gasps as he tried to make sense of what was happening. Andrew's mind raced as he tried to comprehend the situation he was in. He had heard stories about sharks attacking swimmers, but he never thought he would be the one to experience it. The pain was excruciating, and he knew he was in serious trouble. Looking down, he saw the unmistakable silhouette of a great white shark, its jaws clamped tightly on his body, and he felt its teeth sinking deeper into his flesh. The shark's strength was immense, and it was trying to drag him down into the murky depths of the ocean. Andrew's survival instincts kicked in as he began to thrash and fight against the shark's grip. His muscles burned with exertion as he struggled to free himself from the predator's grasp. But the shark was relentless, determined to drag him to the bottom of the sea. Andrew's body went into shock as he felt the immense pain of the predator's bite, but his survival instincts kept him conscious. The vicious shark had mistaken him for its prey, and its razor-sharp teeth shredded through Andrew's flesh. The once calm waters were now stained with the deep red of his blood, sending a sickening feeling through his body. The massive shark refused to let go of Andrew's body, thrashing and churning through the water with a ferocity that could only be fueled by primal hunger. Andrew's screams were drowned out by the sound of the waves crashing against the shore as he fought for his life. The relentless predator's thrashing only made the wounds on Andrew's body worse. He felt as though his body was being ripped apart piece by piece. Adrenaline continued to surge through his veins, keeping him from passing out, but he knew that he couldn't hold on forever. Andrew was on the brink of losing consciousness when he felt a sudden release of pressure from his body. He gasped for air, feeling the stinging sensation of salt water seeping into his wounds. The water around him was a gruesome shade of red, a stark contrast to the serene blue it once was. The shark had released him, but Andrew knew that he was not out of danger yet. As Andrew gasped for air, trying to keep his head above water, he saw the unmistakable shape of the great white shark closing in on him once again. The predator's dorsal fin slicing through the water like a knife, creating a chilling wake behind it. Andrew's heart pounded in his chest as he realized the shark was making another attempt to attack him. Andrew's survival instincts kicked in as he lashed out at the monstrous predator with all his might. Every push and kick was fueled by his fear and determination to stay alive. The shark recoiled, surprised by the sudden attack, and retreated to the dark abyss below. Andrew's mind raced as he struggled to stay afloat, his senses on high alert for any sign of the relentless predator. Despite his fear and pain, Andrew refused to give up. He mustered all the strength he had left to try and make his way back to the shore, but his mangled thighs and abdomen screamed in agony with each movement. He knew that time was running out, and the thought of the shark lurking just below the surface sent shivers down his spine. Fortune was on Andrew's side as a band of paddleboarders caught sight of his distress and sprang to his rescue. Without hesitation, they hoisted him onto their paddleboard, determined to bring him safely back to shore. Andrew clung to the board with all his might, wincing in pain as the salty spray of the ocean stung his wounds. Finally, they reached the shore, where a group of bystanders rushed to help them pull Andrew from the board and onto the sand. Andrew was quickly whisked away to the hospital, where doctors worked tirelessly to save his life. Despite the trauma he had endured, Andrew survived the shark attack and emerged from the hospital a changed man, forever humbled by the immense power and danger of the ocean. His story served as a cautionary tale for anyone who dared to underestimate the forces of nature. Evan, a seasoned surfer with 47 years of wave riding under his belt, calls the beautiful Hawaiian Islands his home. The sparkling turquoise waters of Kewalo, a picturesque surf spot, beckon him to the sea. He knows this spot well, like an old friend, and feels comfortable navigating the waves that can be both gentle and fierce. The waters of Kewalo are truly breathtaking, with their crystal-clear depths and warm, inviting temperatures. They are known to be some of the best in Hawaii, a surfer's paradise, with reliable waves that consistently break on a shallow reef. This shallow reef creates a unique surfing experience, with waves that break evenly and peel perfectly along the shore, providing the perfect canvas for a skilled surfer to carve and glide with grace and ease. One fateful day after catching a few good rides, Evan decided to take a break and rest on his board. He lay on his stomach, letting his legs dangle into the water below. The sea was calm and tranquil, and Evan was content to simply soak in the beauty of the ocean that surrounded him. But suddenly, he felt the sharp and intense pressure on his right leg, as if something had taken a hold of it with tremendous force. At first, he thought it might have been a stray piece of seaweed or wayward rock, but the pain quickly intensified, and he knew something was wrong. He looked down and saw a large dark shape moving quickly beneath him, its jaws clamped tightly around his leg. In that moment, Evan realized he had encountered a tiger shark. He could feel the raw power of the creature as it thrashed about, dragging him and his board through the water. Fear and adrenaline coursed through his veins as he struggled to stay afloat and keep his wits about him. As Evan struggled to stay afloat and fend off the powerful shark that had latched onto his leg, his mind raced with fear and uncertainty. But even in the midst of this terrifying ordeal, Evan was surprised to find himself instinctively turning to prayer. His thoughts turned to a higher power, and he began to silently ask for help and guidance. But this was not a prayer of supplication or pleading for his life. Evan was a seasoned surfer and had faced many challenges in his life, and he felt a fierce determination rise within him. Instead of asking for mercy, he prayed for strength and courage to fight back against the shark. Evan's body surged with adrenaline as he continued to battle the shark with all his might. He punched and thrashed against the creature, each blow fueled by a primal instinct to survive. His fellow surfers heard his shouts and swearing and paddled towards him, but the struggle persisted. The shark was relentless, refusing to let go of Evan's leg, even as he punched and kicked with all his might. As the battle raged on, Evan felt a sudden jerk and was pulled beneath the waves. He was dragged into the deep, murky water, the weight of the ocean pressing down on him. But even as he was swallowed by the darkness, Evan refused to give up. He kept fighting, his adrenaline surging and drowning out the excruciating pain in his mangled leg. Desperate to survive, Evan mustered all his strength and wrapped his arms around the massive shark, squeezing it in a bear hug. His heart pounding with fear and adrenaline, he reached for the shark's gills, his fingers digging into the soft flesh. With every punch and claw, Evan felt the shark's body convulse with pain. He could hear the creature's labored breaths, its thrashing becoming more and more erratic. And then suddenly, he felt the shark's jaws loosen its grip on his leg. Evan didn't waste a second. With a surge of energy, he pushed away from the shark and kicked towards the surface, his lungs burning for air. As he emerged from the water, gasping and coughing, he looked down and saw the massive creature disappearing into the depths below. Evan's friends sprang into action, their hearts heavy with concern, as they saw him struggling in the water. They paddled towards him as fast as they could, and with practiced ease, lifted him onto one of their longboards. As they made their way back to shore, they worked frantically to staunch the bleeding from Evan's leg. Some of them used their board leashes to create a makeshift tourniquet, their hands slick with Evan's blood. Through it all, Evan remained conscious, his mind racing with a mix of pain, fear, and determination. At one point, he mustered the strength to look down at his leg and was shocked to see only bone where his ankle and foot used to be. Despite the agony, Evan knew that he had to keep fighting. He gritted his teeth as the doctors rushed him into surgery, his body racked with pain as they amputated his right foot. But through it all, Evan never lost his spirit. He was a survivor, and he knew that he had been given a second chance at life.